Day 2 of the draft was a snoozer for the Tennessee Titans, but day 3 should be a lot more action-packed. I'll tell you what to look for on the last day of the 2024 NFL Draft on today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, day 2 of the NFL Draft has come and gone. The Tennessee Titans only made one pick. It was a pretty boring night. But day 3, the Tennessee Titans have 5 more picks at their disposal, and they still have a ton of needs. I'm going to get into what they should do, what picks they have, what remaining needs are there, and who could fill them. Before I do, thank you for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day, Monday through Friday. Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. With that being said, do want to remind you guys I'm going to have instant reaction short videos for every pick tomorrow on Saturday, or I guess it's today here on Eastern time. I'm going to have a full-length breakdown of the entire day, full 30 minutes at the end of round 7, and we'll give some grades and break down this draft all throughout next week. So again, stay with me here on the Locked On Titans podcast. But first thing that we got to dive into is what picks do the Tennessee Titans have on day 3 of the NFL Draft? Well, again, they have 5 picks remaining here. We have the 6th pick in the 4th round, 106. The 11th pick in the 5th round, 146. The 6th pick in the 6th round, 182. And then 22 and 32 in the 7th round, which are 242 and 252. So the reality here that we have to accept is this draft is top heavy. And this is something that's been talked about a ton in NFL circles. Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan even admitted this in a press conference earlier this week, that because of NIL in college, there aren't as many underclassmen that come out into the draft. They're making more money in school than they would be as a 6th round, 7th round pick in the NFL draft. So the back end of the NFL draft is simply not as good as it used to be before NIL, which means there aren't as many options for the Titans to fill these positions of need. But hey, they got 5 picks. They're going to have to make the best of it, and maybe Rand Carthon can find some steals here. As for remaining needs, for me, the Titans definitely still need to add an edge rusher. That is a primary need, and they have to hit that at some point soon. I would like to see them also take a defensive back, whether it be a safety or a cornerback. Safety obviously would be preferred at this time with all of the talent that's still on the board. They could also use a linebacker desperately as well, and I think they could stand to add another wide receiver. Maybe even more offensive line help. I mean, this team has a ton of needs, which makes me even more upset that they spent their 2nd round pick on a nose tackle. But we're putting that aside and we're looking ahead to day 3. So those are the needs. That's my concern with day 3 overall. What players make sense for the Tennessee Titans? So we're going to start on the defensive side of the ball, which I think is where the Titans need the most help. And you start to look at edge rusher. And there is one edge rusher that stands out to me above the rest, and that's Austin Booker from Kansas. 6'5", 240 pounds, has good athleticism. He needs some refinement in his pass rush technique. He needs to add some weight as well. He's a little thin, but I really like Austin Booker as an athletic toolsy project at this stage in the draft. That would be someone I would target with 106. You also have options like a Mohamed Kamara, only 6'1", a smaller guy out of Colorado State, but a guy that plays with relentless effort, is willing to consistently work, even if his first move doesn't work. A guy like Javon Solomon, who's a good athlete out of Troy, could make some sense. You also have Nelson Caesar from Houston, who's a decent athlete as well. But again, pickings are slim at edge at this moment in time. So that's why I would really, really look to hit edge rusher early in day 3. And Austin Booker is far and away my favorite option. At linebacker, there are a lot of pretty good options at linebacker. I think the Titans could probably wait a little later to address linebacker here, they could wait till 142, 146. They could wait till 182. Cedric Gray from North Carolina, the athletic coverage linebacker, still there. Jeremiah Trotter, the undersized, try-hard linebacker from Clemson. I know a lot of you guys like Curtis Jacobs from Penn State, an athletic guy who plays tough. Edufon Olafacio out of Washington is a guy that I really like. 6'2", good size, plays hard, makes a lot of sense. Jordan McGee, the toolsy, athletic linebacker out of Temple that a lot of people in the Titans community really like. He's still available as well. Now, a guy who I really liked at linebacker, Trevin Wallace, ended up going in the 3rd round. So, not going to be available there. Also, at edge, Jalix Hunt ended up going, a guy who I really liked. So, Titans missed out on some prospects not having a 3rd round pick. It's going to be a problem next year as well because of the L'Jarius Sneed trade, but I'm willing to accept that. But either way, there are still some good options, as I just mentioned. We get into the secondary, and you start to look at safety. Some people had Jaden Hicks, the safety out of Washington, as their number 1 safety, and he's still on the board 100 picks in. 6'2", 211 pounds, so great size. He's a versatile guy. He can play high in a post safety look, and as a free safety, he can cover over the slot. He can match tight ends and drop into zone at linebacker depth. I think that Jaden Hicks would be a great pick for the Titans at 106, a guy that I'm really interested in. Dadrian Taylor Demerson out of Texas Tech, really good at reading the quarterback, tracking the ball, 5'11", 195 pounds. A little undersized, of course, at 5'11". He's got shorter arms. He's an active run defender, though. I think that DTD, as I like to call him, makes sense. Jalen Simpson from Auburn as a deep safety, a rangy coverage safety in the back end. Malik Mustafa, the physical guy out of Wake Forest. Katan Oladapo out of Oregon State, another physical guy who could play up in the box. Dominique Hampton, a guy that I've liked a ton throughout the process. Trey Taylor out of Air Force, still available. Mark Perry out of TCU, a guy the Titans have had interest in. I think you could wait a little bit on safety with all the depth that's here. I think a lot of these players, but if Jaden Hicks is there and the Titans really want to get somebody who might be able to start for him right away, I think that might be an option at 106. But if they wait, get Austin Booker at 106, wait for safety later in the draft, I think there's enough depth there that they could do that. You go to cornerback, TJ Tampa out of Iowa State, the 6'1", 190-pound, rangy, physical cornerback with a strong punch. He's there, and that's a bit shocking. There were some people that thought TJ Tampa could be a first-round pick. Now, obviously, that's proven to be wrong. He didn't even go in the top 100, but boy, that is a bit of a surprise there to see TJ Tampa there. So I wouldn't be shocked to see the Titans take a look at him. And I think TJ Tampa, because of what he brings to the table, could even double as a little bit of a safety. Maybe not a starting safety, but that third safety in dime packages. I think he could make a lot of sense. Cam Hart, the big physical safety out of Notre Dame, is still available. Same thing, Kerry Jackson, the 6'3" physical cornerback out of Oregon, would really like to bring him onto the team. Chris Abrams-Drain from Missouri, who the Titans have had some contact with. Jarvis Brownlee Jr. from Louisville, the Titans have had contact with him. He's still available. DJ James from Auburn. I mean, there are still some pretty good cornerback options. Quantez Stiggers out of the Toronto, or the Canadian Football League, Toronto Argonauts, still available as well. So cornerback could be a position. If they like TJ Tampa, they take him at 106. If they don't, you can wait a little bit, probably still get one of these corners for some depth. So I think there's a lot of good options still available for the Titans in these late rounds. Maybe I'm higher on some of these guys than I should be. You know what I mean? That's why they're there right now. But the Titans still have some depth at positions like linebacker, cornerback, safety, that, you know, they could maybe wait a little bit longer and still hit some depth at those positions. Now, we're going to move to the offensive side of the ball because there are still a ton of options available there, including a Titans fan favorite in Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin, the wide receiver out of Oregon, still on the board through 100 picks. A bit of a surprise, but we'll talk about why. And, I mean, at 106, I don't care why he's there. I'll take Troy Franklin. So we'll talk about that next. Before we do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Look, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Titans fans, let's continue our day 3 preview edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. I've talked about the remaining needs for the Titans. I think they need another wide receiver. They could add some depth on the offensive line, on defense, linebacker, edge, safety, cornerback depth. They could add a tight end still. I wouldn't be, opposed to that late in the draft. There's so many spots the Titans could go and still a lot of prospects remaining that could fill those holes. We talked about the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, the most important depth positions needed are on defense. But now let's talk about some of the offensive folks that are left in this draft that would make a ton of sense for the Titans. Do want to let you guys know, I know that it's late, but I'm going to be taking your questions at the end of the show in our third segment. So get ready for that. If you put them in there now, they might be too late. So hold on a little bit, but I will get to some of your guys' questions. We got to start at wide receiver, though, because Troy Franklin, who a lot of people wanted at number 38, I know a lot of people on Twitter, in my comments on YouTube, that wanted Troy Franklin at 38. He's still there after 100 picks. All right, let me just explain why. Troy Franklin has great deep speed. He does. But he does not track the ball well. Like, think about a center fielder in baseball when you're tracking the ball backwards. All right? He doesn't track the ball well. And when you're a speed deep threat, and that's all that you do is run deep routes and catch deep balls, and you're not good at tracking those deep balls and making those catches, that's going to scare teams off. Also with Troy Franklin, he may be very fast and his 40 time was good, but he had a very slow 10-yard split. Like the first 10 yards of his 40-yard dash, it was like a 1.71 or something like that. Yeah, I know, me saying that that's slow is hilarious. Like I ran like a 4.8 at my best ever. So it's hard telling Troy Franklin that he's slow. I get it. But that scared some NFL teams. So you could disagree with me on those things if you want, but I'm just telling you why a guy like Troy Franklin, who people wanted at 38, is still available after 100 picks. All right. Believe me if you want to. That's up to you. But the rest of the NFL is telling you what they need or what they were worried about. So Troy Franklin still available. And if the Titans took him at number 7, why would I be mad about that? At this point, what's there to worry about? There are other wide receivers that I still really like, though. Javon Baker out of UCF has been a guy that I have been a fan of for quite some time. Also, can I say my guy, Luke McCaffrey? I love Luke McCaffrey. He's gone. He went before Troy Franklin, before Brendan Rice, before Javon Baker. Same thing with Trevin Wallace. Same thing with Tip Raymond. Tip Raymond, the tight end out of Illinois. I fell in love with Tip Raymond, was talking about him the whole time. All of these guys that I really, really loved, my draft crushes, all went in the top 100 picks. So, all these draft boards have them 6th round, 7th round. They're available. Well, I guess some of these NFL teams saw the same thing that I did. But anyways, Javon Baker, I think out of all the wide receivers that could be taken on day 3, Javon Baker has the best chance to be a stud, to be a superstar. He has it all. He just has concentration issues. You wonder behind the scenes what could be the worry there. He has all the talent in the world, runs good routes when he wants to, just has to stay focused and stay consistent. And again, I know that people are going to be like, wait, how are you going to say that T'Vondre Sweat has issues with, maturity and stuff like that, and then say you want Javon Baker? Well, the Titans are going to be taking Javon Baker outside of the top 100 picks, not at 38. So situation and where you pick somebody, that matters in terms of the risk that you're taking. So Javon Baker at this point would be absolutely worth it for me. Brendan Rice, the physical wide receiver out of USC, Jerry Rice's son, could be an option for the Titans as well. Tez Walker from North Carolina, I'm not a big fan of, but the Titans did have a virtual meeting with Tez Walker. Some people really like his talent. He could be an option there. Malik Washington, a lot of people liked the 5'8" slot receiver out of Virginia. Not really what I'm looking for personally, but, he is available. So if that's somebody you like, then there you go. Jacob Cowing from Arizona, a lot of people like. I'm not as high on him, but, there are a lot of options at wide receiver, essentially, is the point. At offensive tackle, two guys that I really liked throughout this process that I thought the Titans could get in the 4th round or later, Christian Jones and Javon Foster. So Christian Jones is the powerful, yet still mobile offensive tackle out of Texas. If they're going to play J.C. Latham at left tackle, bring in Christian Jones to play right tackle. Javon Foster is the maybe not super athletically gifted guy out of Missouri, but incredibly good run blocker. All right. He's got over 2,700 snaps in his college career. I think that you can get Javon Foster and develop him. And if J.C. Latham doesn't work on the left side, you put Latham back on the right side, and you put Javon Foster, who spent his entire career at left tackle, onto the left side. And I think you could have something there. There are always offensive linemen who pop and turn into starters that get drafted this late in the draft. And I think Christian Jones and Javon Foster at offensive tackle make a ton of sense. Some guys on the interior, there aren't a lot of guys on the interior that I'm a fan of right now. I'll just tell you that. But Christian Mahogany from Boston College, 6'3", super powerful guy in the run game. Absolutely moving bodies. And the Titans have shown that they're favoring power guys over athletes at this point. I think both of their picks would tell you that these are good athletes. T'Vondre Sweat is a good athlete for a guy his size. J.C. Latham, a good athlete for a guy his size. But when you pick somebody like J.C. Latham over a guy like Olu Fashanu, it tells you what the Titans are looking for. Mason McCormick from South Dakota State, athletic guy with some versatility. He could be an option there as well. I don't really think the Titans need to focus on center, but if they think Cedric Van Prawn-Granger out of Georgia could be a guard, Tanner Bortolini out of Wisconsin, he could play guard as well. I think those guys make some sense. Kingsley Aguakon, I don't think I said that right, out of Florida, but it's like 12:30 a.m. where I'm at, so give me a break here. Bo Limmer, some guys on the interior still available if the Titans want depth there, so that makes a ton of sense. We haven't even talked about running back or tight end, where I think the Titans could take a look. Jatavian Sanders out of Texas, some people considered him the number 2 tight end in the draft, still available. Cade Stover, still available. Jared Wiley from TCU, the athletic seam runner. He's kind of like Josh Wiley in a way. Jared Wiley, Josh Wiley, funny how that works out. But he's still available. Theo Johnson, AJ Barner, all of these Eric All out of Iowa makes a ton of sense. A guy who I really think makes a lot of sense, though, is Brevin Spanford out of Minnesota. 6'7", 260 pounds, blocking tight end. All right, and that's what I think the Titans should consider. Trey Knox out of South Carolina, the Tennessee boy, another guy who's a bit of a blocker. I think he could make some sense for the Titans there as well. And then finally, running back. There have not been a lot of running backs off the board, folks. Jalen Wright, Ray Davis, Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin, Isaac Garendo out of Louisville, who I've liked a ton, Bucky Irving, Edric Estime, Will Shipley, Tyrone Tracy, Kamani Vidal, Rasheen Ali from Marshall, a guy the Titans have had contact with. All of these guys are still on the board. So whether it be defense, which we talked about at the beginning of the show, whether it be offense, which we just went over now, still a lot of options for the Titans. Get those questions in. Get those questions in right now. I'm going to answer your guys' questions to cap off the show. I know it's late, but hey, we got 200 some people in the chat right now, so I'll answer some questions before we close out today's show. Before I do, though, do want to let you guys know about Monopoly Go. All right, I got a super competitive side. I think it's pretty obvious to everybody. And my competitive side loves Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with your friends because you could charge them rent on your iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. But you can also rob their vaults of all of their riches and keep them for yourself. And there's leaderboards that show you who has the biggest Monopoly tycoon. It's not just your competitive side that's going to love it, though, because you can also team up with your friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. Get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. Titans fans, let's cap off this day 3 preview. We've gone over the defensive needs and the defensive options. We've gone over the offensive needs and the offensive options. Still a lot of options available there for the Tennessee Titans. Now I want to cap off the show, answer some of your guys' questions. It's been a long day. It's been 2 days of the NFL draft. It's pretty late for me where I'm at right now, but that's all right. I'm still fired up off a couple Coca-Colas, baby. Classic, all right? Classic Coca-Cola keeping me running this late into the night. But the Titans got 5 picks on day 3, so they're going to have to really take some chances and try to find some depth because they got a left tackle and they got a nose tackle. So a lot of big needs remaining for the Titans. Going to answer your guys' questions. I will start here. I know some of you guys asked questions earlier, but there are so many comments in the chat. I missed them. Dippy the DM, of the guys who have fallen this for people above 100 on big boards, who would you take for the most value for the Titans? I think I'd go Troy Franklin on offense, wide receiver, and Jaden Hicks, safety on defense. I think both those guys are really good players, and maybe they have their warts, but at this point, on day 3 of the draft, guys, you're throwing darts, especially now that NIL is a thing. You're throwing darts right now and seeing what hits. I don't expect, my expectations for these day 3 picks are nowhere near what they are. So even if it's a guy that I don't necessarily like, my reaction is not going to be like what it was for Tavondre Sweat because these are day 3 picks. I'm not expecting these guys to have a huge impact. So, take a chance on guys. So those would be 2. Here, what Pico what pick would make you madder than the Sweat pick? Well, I guess I just answered that. There isn't one at this point in the draft. 38 is just such an important pick. That's why I was so upset about the pick, is how important 38 was, because the Titans didn't have another pick for the rest of today. And with NIL and how watered down the end of the draft is, it is so important to nail those top 100 picks in this era of the draft. And when you only have one in the second round and third round, it's just so much more important. Daniel says, how do you view Florida State Giant wide receiver Johnny Wilson? I'm not really that interested in Johnny Wilson. I know that he's got better agility and mobility than maybe people want to give him credit for. But at the end of the day, I just don't think that he fits what the Titans are looking for in their slot position. So, and he doesn't want to be a tight end, or you got to add weight to him to make him a tight end. Kevin says, do you think Rand and Brian are on the same page? I do. Yeah, I do. You still think we pick up a tight end late? If I had to guess, I would say no. I would say that they just avoid tight end altogether, but I won't be shocked if they do. I don't think it would be a terrible decision or anything like that. Tanner McLaughlin in round 7 might be viable. Is Tanner still available? Is my question. Yeah. Tanner McLaughlin still available from Arizona. 6'5", 240 pounds. Pretty decent after the catch. Had a good 40 time. I think that could make a ton of sense. Yeah, I'd be in with that. Again, at this point, why not? Why not take a shot? And I've been telling you guys all along that the best tight ends in the NFL were drafted in the mid or late rounds. So Baker, Gray, or Booker in the fourth. If I had to choose between Javon Baker, wide receiver, Cedric Gray, linebacker, or Austin Booker, edge rusher in the fourth, I would take Austin Booker. He needs to put on weight, needs to refine his technique, but that length, that size, that explosion, and the need at edge, I would do that. Right tackle or wide receiver, Coach Tyler. That's funny. Never been a coach yet. Kind of been waiting to have kids to do that, but maybe at some point I'll just go ahead and do it. I will say, if we're talking fourth round, I'll go Troy Franklin, wide receiver. Do you think we pick up another running back late? With the way the running backs have fallen down the board, no. I think the Titans probably go undrafted free agency to add a running back. Do you think you'll regret making that video about Sweat? Only if he's good. Here's the thing, though, guys, and maybe this is a defense mechanism. It's late. I'm galaxy braining right now. But I'm a pessimist in nature. I've had a lot of trauma in my life, quite honestly. A lot of things have gone terribly wrong until I got into adulthood and kind of handled things on my own. So I have a tendency to think things are going to go bad, a little bit of a doomsday complex. And my mind is, hey, if it goes wrong, I was right. If it goes right, well, then it's a good thing, right? If T'Vondre Sweat turns into an amazing player for the Titans, that is only going to benefit me as someone who covers the Titans. So will I regret it? I don't know. Let's see how he plays. But I'm fine with that. Like, I would rather be wrong and a good thing happen for the Titans. Thoughts on Brandon Dorless? Versatile defensive lineman out of Oregon. I don't know if he has the pure speed to be on the edge, though. And with the Titans already taking an interior defensive lineman, I don't know. Who would you pick at 106 if all your favorites are there? I think I'd go, like I said, Jaden Hicks on defense, Troy Franklin on offense. I'll just say Troy Franklin, just to give you a solid answer. So they waste a second-round pick on a backup wide receiver or a lineman. The Titans are going to play 3 wide receiver sets this year. So I don't think if they went wide receiver at 38, it would have been a backup. And I think if they went another, like the Titans still don't have a starting right tackle. So I don't know why they would be a backup. They need a starter. What free safety should we get? Okay. So guys who are just, pure free safeties. I think the first one that comes to mind here, I think Jaden Hicks could do that. Maybe that's not his best option, but I think that he could do that. Jalen Simpson out of Auburn, I think is a good option there. James Williams out of Miami. James Williams. I'm getting him confused with Cameron Kitchens, who already came off the board. Yeah, I'll say that Jalen Simpson out of Auburn is the best, like pure free safety, deep end range. What about Javon Baker? I love Javon Baker. I've been talking about him for a month now. Big fan. Triple Javon Baker, Javon Sullivan, Javon Foster. I'm for it. I'm here for it. How would you feel if we drafted Joe Milton? I would feel like that's a stupid pick. No offense, Daniel. I mean, it's a fine question, but what's the point there? I think the Titans need a veteran backup with Will Levis. And they have Malik and, undrafted free agency. They want to bring in Joe Milton. I'm for it. Linebacker or safety. For me at this point, I think I'd go linebacker with the linebackers available. Who do you think they will actually pick? Man, I don't even know now. Like, Rand Carthon said this is like his first real draft, which I think is a secret shot at Mike Vrabel. So I don't even know. Like, hopefully defense. Again, edge rusher. Favorite dessert. That's hilarious. I'm not a big fan of dessert overall. I don't like sweets. But I will say vanilla ice cream. I'm a plain Jane type of guy about that, Cedric Gray in the fourth, athletic linebacker out of North Carolina, good in coverage. I would be okay with that. I think that'd be a good pairing with a downhill guy like Kenneth Murray. What do you think of Jeremiah Trotter Jr.? I think that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is the kind of guy who he doesn't do anything that stands out. He has no elite traits. He's undersized, but he's just one of those dudes who's going to grind. He's going to be about it. Bet on bloodlines, right? Bet on bloodlines. Okay. As an Auburn fan, I could say Simpson can ball. Yep. And at this point, Why the Titans pick the DT? Are there no good ones in free agency? Well, I mean, let's just call it what it is. There aren't a lot of guys who are as athletic as T'Vondre Sweat that are as big as T'Vondre Sweat. Like, he is a bit of a unicorn in terms of his athleticism and his size. So I would imagine that the Titans were like, hey, we're not going to find somebody with this kind of profile later in the draft. It doesn't happen. And since we don't have a pick and probably can't get another pick in the next 70 picks, we're going to take him. Do you think T'Vondre Sweat will be better than Big Haynesworth? Albert Haynesworth? I think that's a good comparison. If you get the best out of T'Vondre Sweat, then yeah, I think he could be a guy kind of like an Albert Haynesworth. I think that would, that's an okay comparison at his ceiling. But again, with Haynesworth, you had concerns too, right? I mean, he stomped on Andre Grode's face. All right. So I think that's probably a pretty apt comparison. Asked about DeCamerion Richardson, the safety out of Texas A&M. Look, an experienced guy, was a 5-year starter. Really smart player. He's lined up all over the place. Good versatility. Can probably cover tight ends. Good length. Good speed. I think that would be a solid player. 6'1", 214, a versatile chess piece. I'm fine with that. He's not one of my favorites, which is why I really haven't talked about him all that much. But yes, TJ Tampa is still on the board. Cornerback out of Iowa State, which is a little crazy. Zach, is this guy still going on about? No, I haven't mentioned Roman Wilson because he got picked in the top 100. So I know that you hate Roman Wilson, Zach, for some reason, but he got picked in the top 100 because he's a good player who the Titans had a top 30 visit with. The Titans really liked Roman Wilson. So I'm not as high on Roman Wilson as other people are, but the Titans were. Would you rather get Evan Anderson in the 7th than Sweat? Well, I mean, who we pick in the 7th round doesn't really change that. I would have rather had T'Vondre Sweat in the 7th round over Evan Anderson for sure. Couple more here. Don't want to go too long. Did Peyton Wilson's fall surprise you? No. Peyton Wilson has a ton of issues. He's an older player, which limits the upside. He's got smaller arms for a guy his size, which makes you wonder how he's going to be able to get off blocks at the next level. And then you add in all the injuries. He's had so many injuries. I saw somewhere somebody said that he had the Tajay Spears situation where he doesn't even have an ACL in one of his knees. Now, that didn't really bother me with Tajay Spears, and it wouldn't bother me with Peyton Wilson, but it's the amount of injuries and then the other stuff that doesn't have anything to do with that. I'm not surprised by that fall. Do you think the Chargers took all we could get their current left tackle? Rashawn Slater? No. They're going to put Joe Alt on the right side. Rashawn Slater's awesome. They're not giving up Rashawn Slater. Do you think the Titans have a plan for Sweat's character concerns? Yeah, babysitters. Did you guys see Ran Carthon? The Titans always put out the video of where Ran Carthon calls the player and tells them they're going to be a Titan. In that video, Ran Carthon says, hey, we got Jeffrey Simmons. We got Keandre Coburn, who was T'Vondre Sweat's teammate at Texas, a practice squad level defensive tackle who the Titans are going to have to keep on the roster as a babysitter for T'Vondre Sweat. They mentioned the defensive line coach. In the call to T'Vondre Sweat, Ran Carthon mentioned 3 babysitters for him and then said, I need you to be a good soldier. I need you to listen to us. I need you to take the coaching. I need you to be on your best behavior. So, the Titans have a plan for Sweat and his character concerns, and it's have babysitters to keep him in line. So, Trey Taylor would be a low-key good pickup. Yes. Would you rather go linebacker or wide receiver with the 4th round pick? If it's Troy Franklin, I'd probably go wide receiver. If he's off the board, which the Titans don't pick until the 6th pick, if he's off the board, then I would go linebacker rather than other areas. Why do the Titans always pick guys who have character issues? Honestly, they didn't last year. And it's funny, I've seen some people in the comments saying Tyler hates all the picks, other than Jalen Duncan last year. I liked all the picks. I liked all of the picks the Titans made last year, other than Jalen Duncan. So I don't know why people think I hate all the picks. I liked all of them last year. I even, was okay and fine with the JC Latham pick too. I didn't hate that one. So I think it's a little overblown when people get mad at me. But last question from Gabe. He says, does Big Jeff liking Sweat change your view? No. Here's why. You think that Big Jeff is going to come out and say, I hate this pick, I don't like this guy? No one's going to do that. No NFL player is going to come out and say they hate a draft pick their team just made. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? So, no, it doesn't change my mind. Here's the thing, guys. Even when you get mad at me, even when you hate what I say, I'm telling you how I really feel. And I decided a long time ago that if I'm going to do this job and I'm going to give my opinions for 3 hours a week, every week, for years and years, I'm going to say how I really feel. And whether you like it, you don't like it, you hate me, you love me, it doesn't matter what I say. That's going to be the case anyway. So let me give you this life advice before I get out of here. Be yourself. Say how you really feel. Tell your truth. And let the pieces fall where they will. Because no matter what you do, if you're a people pleaser, if you try to say what you think people want to hear, there are going to be people who don't like that too. So just be yourself. Say how you really feel. Tell your truth. You're going to be wrong. You're going to be right. You can't choose what you're going to say and what your opinion is going to be based on how you think people will react. That's a coward's way to live, man. So you hate me, you love me, you agree, you disagree. No matter what, I'm authentic and real about how I feel. And honestly, I can lay down at night and live knowing that that's the way I do this. And that's how I roll. So that's going to do it. I'll be back tomorrow breaking down every pick, full recap of day 3 coming on Saturday night as well. Slow day here, but, obviously things are going to pick up tomorrow. So hope you guys are enjoying your Friday night. Stay safe out there. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.